What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mon Goals, sponsored by Roughneck Scarves. I'm Mike. With me is Kevin, Josh. The Hounds lost a few games, but they got a few more games this week, and the Premier League is back.
Just very quickly went over that. They lost a few games, and
whatever. I mean, Josh, I saw your tweet right before this where you were like, this is really going to be depressing talking about these two Hounds losses. Like, do we really need to do this? So we make the rules. We don't have to. I feel like
we gotta talk about it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we can't just gloss it over. Like, whatever. It is what it is.
Okay. All right. Well, before we do that, I haven't talked to you guys in like 2 weeks. So, like, what's been going on, Josh? How have you and Liz been?
Good. I mean, it's been busy with the Hound stuff going on, and we got brand new shirts in at the Steel Army. So if you check out the shop, we have new yellow Steel Army shirts, as well as we got a new shipment of the Hounds Cometh shirts. Those ones sold out pretty fast last time, like in the main sizes, like larges and mediums and that kind of stuff. So we got more stock of that. So yeah, it's been going pretty well. And other than having to watch the Hounds lose 2 games in a row. But yeah.
Will you have some of those shirts at the game on Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. I might have to snag a few.
That's right. You're coming to a game in person. Live.
What? I know, right? We had the flex book that we sort of had to use. And I was like, we should schedule a game so that we don't forget to do this. And this was like a month and a half ago. I was like, nope, that one won't work. That one won't work. That one. Kids, man, like this is, had I not scheduled this one, like it probably wouldn't have happened either, because we were just talking off air. My oldest just started varsity soccer out here, and it's like, there goes your schedule from now till the end of October, like 3 or 4 games a week, practice in between that, games on the weekends. It's just nonstop. So I'm preaching to the choir of a lot of people here who have kids and deal with this, but we've been out of the circuit for a while. Not you two, but like, yeah, other listeners.
I do have a question. I feel like we can't let this go unnoticed. Are you wearing a Ducks jersey right now?
In fact, I am. Charlie Conway. That's right. It got a little bit chilly here, and I didn't want to go like full jacket. So this is like my wake up in the morning, having tea, like throw this on. It's almost like a sweater. This was something I've wanted since I was probably, I don't know, 10, 11 years old, and I got it for Father's Day this year. So I was
for listeners, Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks.
Movie, not like a Ducks jersey from.
Yeah. The original Mighty Ducks jersey. If you watched the series on Disney Plus, the one that the team was wearing at the end, they're making a comeback. So
nice.
Yeah. Kev, what have you been up to?
I mean, you got the whole thing. I jumped on 30 minutes early. We record at 7:30. Obviously, those people who are tuning in live know this. I jumped on at 7, and Michael was like, "What are you doing here?" So we just talked for a half hour.
No, hold on. You showed up at like 6:55. I was like hanging up scarves and doing stuff, and I was like, what are you doing here? And you were like, I'm trying to be good and get here early. And I was like, you realize we don't record till 6:30, right? And you were like, oh, 7:30. Crap. Or
7:30. Yeah.
So usually I come in and I haven't talked to like anyone all day, and I just start talking. I'm worn out. I'm halfway. I've done 45 now. It's halftime. You guys got to carry me for the second half. No, my only update is, we watched Wonder Woman 1984 or whatever. Recently.
What do you think?
Wasn't the greatest. Wasn't
great. But we finished it, and we enjoyed hating on it a little bit. But
Josh, I feel like you'd be more tapped into this to Kevin. But are there any DC movies that you look at that you get excited about now?
I mean, Suicide Squad just came out. James Gunn directed it. He's the one that directed Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Great director. Movie is available on HBO Max. So if you already pay for that service, you can watch it. It's also in theaters. I have not watched it yet, but from what I'm hearing, it's actually pretty good. It's a lot of fun. So if you're going to get excited about a DC movie right now, that's probably the one to be excited about. And supposedly the Batman's still going to come out sometime in the near future.
That one I'm interested in.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So
that one looks good. But I'm looking forward to Shang-Chi. I think that looks awesome. Which is Marvel, not DC. But yeah. Can you?
Man,
Can
we're
you?
really
Can you
avoiding this,
feel
right?
that we do not want to get into these games? All right, let's do this. Let's package them together a little bit, and then guys, we can glance over our takeaways, positive or negative, and we'll get through this together. It'll be cathartic. Everybody listening or watching, feel free to share your thoughts and your pain, either with us live or just sending out vibes. But the Hounds basically went 6 games without a loss. 5 of those were wins, and then they lost 2 in a row. So they lost 3-2 at home against Miami after being up 2-0. But I digress. And then they lost 1-0 in a rain-delayed match against Charlotte. So I guess positives, first of all, Tommy Williamson is like becoming a set piece specialist. This is now his second or third set piece he scored off of, which like I think this is the closest thing that the USL has to like James Ward-Prowse. So like that's good. And you know, Kenny's goal against Miami, I literally said out loud, "Oh Lord!" Like when he put it in, basically Dixon made the cross and Kenny, like falling backwards, just rifled it as hard as he could into the corner of the net, leaving no doubt, which was fantastic. Those were kind of the only 2 positives for me in that Miami game. I mean, is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about in that one, or both of them? I said we'd blur them together.
I mean, I do think we should focus on Kenny's goal as one of the highlights for sure. In fact, I think it's up for goal of the week on the USL page right now, so you can go vote for Kenny's goal. And also, Kenny just had a child, and so that was kind of cool. You know, had a kid.
Congrats to Kenny. Yeah,
came to work a couple days later and scores a goal. So that's his first goal of the season, I believe.
Yes.
So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I wish it was on a game where we won and we didn't turn off right after he scored that goal and get 2 goals against us in the course of like a minute 30. How fast were those 2 goals? 52nd and 53rd minute. Oh, that's great. Cool. Yeah,
it was about
in the course of a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a question, or there was a comment that was posted to us in Twitter, and I was actually thinking the same thing during the game. At halftime, Miami started throwing in some subs, and in most cases, it's like halftime, like that's pretty early to be making changes. But when you actually watch how Miami got their goals, a couple of times they were trying to play the ball over the top and beat us with speed. And this was something I've talked to Lily about just a few weeks ago, where he said he really wanted the guys to be better about recognizing when they were about to be played over the top and not get beat. Like you need to be aware. And it felt like the guys were doing a good job of that. And right around halftime, basically Miami would keep playing the ball over the top. But if you watch, Francois would start to swing underneath, basically between not goal side of our defenders, but the opposite side of our defenders, basically anticipating that one of our guys was going to head it forward, and then he would just be sitting there to poach it between our midfield and our defense. And that happened like 2 or 3 times over the course of the game, that second half, I should say. And that just made me think, that combined with the substitutions, is this a case where Lily was somewhat outcoached? Like, I don't know if like I could really say that in previous games, but this was a clear case where like we're up 2-0 after Kenny's goal. I'm like, this thing's over. This is great. Like, let's coast it out. And then it was boom, boom, 2 more goals. And then we give up the pen late in the game. And the team just looked flat, defeated.
I think it's hard to say, because at that point, then you're guessing what the intentions and plans and tactics for each coach were and how they changed the games. And I think it's nearly impossible to see. But I mean, sure, observing how certain events play out in the game can give you kind of a hint to that. But I do think it's a scenario where I think generally we haven't faced a lot of adversity in the past 10 games or so where we've been asked like difficult tactical problems to solve. And I mean, I don't want to bring this up. I don't think it even warrants it, but we have had that conversation. This is like preseason talk of like, do the players do a good enough job problem solving in real time, or do they kind of lean on Lily constantly screaming from the sideline to kind of coach them through the game? But I think that could be a thing that could be going on. But I mean, I think the bigger thing, Josh was, I think, the first one to bring it up kind of regularly between the three of us with concerns over the defense. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to, I don't know, because the midfield and the forwards are working so well together as far as creating chances. And, Griffin has been doing a really good job kind of battling away in the midfield. He sets up, he initiates the play, if I'm remembering correctly, for Forbes' goal, where he lays it off to Dixon and Dixon crosses it over. But yeah, I mean, there's a few times where it's just, like our defense needed to make a decision whether or not to like try to control it and play it quickly, or head it forward, head it backward, head it side, and it's just, they're under pressure. I think we're asking them to do a lot, right? We're not protecting our defense particularly, right? There's a way to do that, and it's to sit really deep. It's to have two holding midfielders sitting right in front of them and just, clear out everything and essentially just ask them to put their foot through everything that comes near them. And we're not asking our defenders to do that. It's a harder system to play in. But that being said, I think, Miami, especially in the second half, kind of figured that out pretty quickly. And it's been a running thing over the past few games. I mean, when was the last time we had a clean sheet?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah. And okay, so I don't think this is Lily being outcoached, because both goals I know there was 3, but both of the run and play goals came from defensive mistakes. It's not like they were situations where it like literally we headed the ball into our own box and at the feet of an attacker. And that's how that goal happened, that first goal. It might as well have been a pass from his own player, because that's how perfectly well timed that header was into our own box. And there was 4 guys in the back row and 2 guys attacking. It wasn't like, we were outnumbered in the box. We had 4 players, 3 players in the box, and there was 2 attackers. So I don't know, it doesn't feel like that first one was a situation that you can really say tactically he was outplayed.
So do you think it was just our defenders are having a bad run of games?
They fell asleep. And that one, actually both goals, especially because the other one was just a bad forward pass. Yeah. But yeah, it's just, that was both defensive mistakes, and it looked sloppy and bad. It was just not good defending.
Even the pen, right? It's a little.
Yeah, the pin was also a situation where, was it Killoyne? I can't remember.
Killoyne.
Yeah, Killoyne.
Cheetah.
Yeah, it was. But at that, it's hard to blame him for that one, because Cheetah's fast and he got the ball and he's chasing him into the box. What do you do? Do you just let him take that shot and hopefully he misses? I guess. But and I also thought it was a little bit soft. I didn't really feel like he tripped him up that much or anything like that.
You could sort of tell by Cheetah's reaction that I think he knew it was soft too. The way he got up and celebrated the fact that he got the pen call, clearly weren't hurt. You weren't selling it. It was just he got up and just shouted to the heavens that he got himself a pen. And
I read that as there was a very clear chance of going ahead after being 2 goals down.
Yeah, you can't really blame him for cheering on that, but at the same time, he's public enemy number 1 now for the River Hounds, because I gotta say, when he scores that goal, that first one, and he shushes us. what former player of the Hounds shushing your former club like that? Unfollowed on Twitter right away.
Yeah. Another positive, real quick, is that Borso got some minutes, which when they subbed him in, I was like, who? And Borso is an academy product that, basically part of the whole USL academy pathway system. I think they said he's 19. Got his first minutes with the team, got a run out. Hopefully it's the first of many, and he's the first of many that we see go through this, but that's cool.
That's a good pick out. What is that part of? is that now like a thing because of that rule change that happened like a year ago or so, where they don't need like contracts or whatever?
Yeah. So basically, the big issue was that if they go pro, then that hampers their college eligibility.
Right.
And now, because of this pathway setup, that's not the case. They can spend minutes playing with the pro team, and still go off and play college without issue. So, yeah,
that's
We
nice.
also got to see Casey Bartlett Scott, CBS, as we called him as soon as we saw his name. I'm like, oh, CBS, cool. Like, like two-stick ideas start running through your head and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, he came on as well. But it's cool to see homegrown players. It's cool to see academy kids coming up. Like that's the exciting prospect of the future for the Hounds and for American soccer in general. Just seeing that pipeline come to fruition.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for years now. It feels like, so to see it start to pay off is great. I guess in the Charlotte game, I mean, Hounds kind of looked pedestrian. I will say, like, I didn't feel like it was getting a lot of hype, but Charlotte's goal, like, as the ball came over the top, Para sort of like stuck his foot behind his back, his left foot, flicked the ball behind his back over his right shoulder, and then made the cross. If you can go back and watch the replay, it was a beautiful setup. Everyone talked about, Martinez's goal and how he sort of like slid into Vitiello or whatever, but the play was really the ball over the top and him just like flicking it to himself, and it happened super quick. But kudos to him. Like, we don't make a habit of like praising other players or other plays that aren't Hounds, but I was like, that's kind of a highlight. So
no, the whole game felt like we weren't on the front foot. We weren't making dangerous plays, and we are just constantly absorbing dangerous plays and just hoping we got, we eked it out and either got a sneaky goal or got a point out of it. Like, I never felt confident in this game at all. And that goal, I mean, what you're talking about, it was cool, but at the same time, again, seeing, like, I thought it was an own goal. Like, I thought we actually slid in and hit the ball in. Granted, if we wouldn't have done that, it would have been a goal for the guy who ended up getting the goal. I can't remember his name now.
Martinez.
Yeah, Martinez. But like it just was frustrating. Although at least with that game, unlike Miami, I didn't feel like we deserved to win. If that makes sense. Like, it didn't feel like we were, competing to win that game. Whereas with Miami, it felt like we deserved to win. Like, before we turned off at the defense, it felt like that was our game.
Oh, like I said, after Kenny scored, I was like, that's it. It's over. Like, it's done. Like, we've been pressing this game. We've been keeping Miami at bay. We now have 2. Like, wrap it up. Like, we're good. Even if Miami scores 1, we're going to be fine. And yeah, so yeah.
I'll be really curious to see if this affects any change with like lineups going forward. I think, I'm not necessarily advocating for this, but earlier in the season, I think Kilwine in particular showed some ability to contribute to attack. And ever since, he's been more of that kind of part of that. I mean, it's not a flat 3, but I mean, part of that back 5, the attacking emphasis comes from playing Dixon there or playing Wharton there or playing Perez there. And, the other 3 defenders are there to essentially defend. If in reaction to maybe being a bit defensively leaky, that's not a great sentence. He does something where, he puts Kilwine at left wing back, is a bit more conservative, puts another body back there and tries to sort out the defense in that way. I'm not saying that's particularly what the issue is with the defense. I think it is more of just, Josh, you mentioned like individual mistakes in the Miami game, and I don't think necessarily another person solves that issue. I don't know what solves that issue, but yeah, I mean, even in the Charlotte game, they created more chances than us. I mean, that rarely happens over the course, especially over the past few games. And yeah, I mean, like Mike, you mentioned like the flick that led up to Charlotte's goal. I mean, right before that. I only remember it in this much detail because I'm watching it right now. But I remember, like, Veet came out to make a header and he just missed it. Like, when you're 2-on-2 with your defenders, once again, a hard thing to do. I'm not saying this is easy, and I'm not trying to dump a lot of things on here, but our center backs are essentially 2-on-2 with the Charlotte forwards. You can't miss a header when you're 30 yards away from your own net, and in that situation, it can't happen. And then we lose by 1-0. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not necessarily, like I said, I'm not necessarily advocating for a change in like, okay, no more Dixon at wing back, no more Perez at wing back. Let's go back to Rivera and Kilwine over there and throw another center back. But it's I don't know. It's intriguing.
Yeah. I mean, like,
you guys are like, no, I don't want to talk about this. Like,
no. What I was gonna say was, like, I think our best team is getting the minutes. Like, I feel like the best players are out on the field regularly, and and that's what sucks about this. It's not like a situation where I'm like, oh, I think Lily can make a tactical change and fix this issue. I think it's just we need the players who we have to soccer better, and it's a situation where I feel like they can. I don't feel like this is hopeless. Like, I don't want that to sound like what I'm saying is like we're screwed. We are a good team. Like, there's a reason why we're tied for first, fighting that second place right now. It's because we're a good team. We are. It's just we do have weaknesses, and we have to try to fix those weaknesses. And it's going to be training and just getting better and gelling. And I think Burger Brand, he mentioned it. It felt like we've been clicking. Our defense has been clicking, but then these games happen, and we gotta also remember these games are all happening so close to each other. This is a rough patch of games for the Hounds. Like, this isn't like we're getting a lot of rest and we're seeing the Hounds at their best. This is the hard stretch of the season, the hardest stretch that we have, and we're in the thick of it. So I mean, I don't want to overreact and be like gloom and doom, because I don't think that is gloom and doom. But this is the hard part of the season, and normally this would be what we would be dealing with like Open Cup games and like a lot of midweek games, but now we just have it on regular season, and it's rough, and it really sucks to have to go through it. So I don't know.
We also got, I think, 2 more weeks of this.
Yeah,
it's going to be back and forth, and then once we get through that, it'll be back to 1 game a week for the rest of the season. So that'll be nice, and I think a lot of other teams are going to have a cramped schedule towards the end. So it's all going to come out in the wash. I think my one comment, and I've been sort of reserving this for the past few weeks, but thinking about it, back when we had, Toby Adewale, it felt like, he was young, and because he was young, the coaching staff often, and I can't even remember, Toby spent a year under Lily, maybe 1 or 2. I can't remember how many years he was with us, but it always felt like they always paired him with somebody that was slightly more experienced. So it was either Greenspan, or it was Hugh Roberts, or it was something, because it was there. Like, you could see that he was going to be a really good player, but he needed time. I just have not been really impressed by Veet at all. Like, there have been too many errant passes, too many poor decisions. And I don't know if it's just that he's young and like we need somebody with, Williams has a lot of experience and he's back there sort of helping out, but Wheat is like the anchor. Like, he's there in the middle holding things down, and it's just,
I think for me with V, it's the potential. I've seen examples where there's potential, but it's just the inconsistencies. Earlier in the season, he would have games where I thought he showed huge maturity and, under pressure, controlled the ball well and distributed it well. I remember I was being really impressed with him. I forget the game, but with his distribution, he kept the ball moving really well. He wasn't just knocking it off to the wing back. He was finding passes in the midfield and cutting through the opposition midfielders. And it's there, but I wonder. I think a lot of the times when we talk about like the stretches of games where we have midweek games, at least in my mind, I'll use my I pronouns. I think about like it being physical exhaustion being the issue. And like mental, psychological, emotional exhaustion is a thing too, especially for away games, midweek games, when you have games back to back, when you're playing a lot. You know, I'm the only reason I'm thinking of this. You know, I'm a Liverpool fan. Van Dijk came back from a big injury in a preseason game. In a post-match interview, you know, he got 60 minutes, and the interviewer asked him, like, how was it? And he said, like, it was really emotionally draining for him, and like he had to kind of come off, not necessarily because he was physically tired, but there's a lot to handle, kind of being back out there for the first time and getting everything. And so, I mean, that could be a scenario too. I think, yeah. So when games are jam packed together, I don't necessarily think, like, center backs can play all day. They're probably running the least out of everyone on the field, and you know, being in those scenarios when things aren't going your way, that could be tough too.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, call out one person individually, because obviously it took the whole team to lose. But yeah, it's just, yeah. Anything else about these two games before we move on and talk about? We've already spent way too long talking about them, I feel.
I mean, there is, like, even though these are a hard stretch of games, like, this is where we need to dig deep and get, you know, a point out of the game. Like, I'm not saying you have to win every single game you go out there, and especially when it's this compact of a schedule, but these are the games where you have to, you know, at least hold your ground and, you know, just dig out a point here and there. And just losing both these games it's like, come on, like, we needed at least a point on one of these, like, to keep us in the running. Because I feel like we're still, you know, a lock for the playoffs, but I want first or second place, because I want to have a home playoff game. Like, that's huge, and that, you know, means a lot to the fans and to be able to see the playoffs. So it's get a first or second place so we can have a home playoff game. That should be the goal. It shouldn't be to make the playoffs. It should be first or second place. So hopefully we see that coming up.
I was going to say the Hounds have a shot at a 6-point swing come Wednesday when Tampa comes to town. Kev, you want to
Before you talk
about
one more thing?
Josh set it up so nice.
I know.
Go ahead, Kev. Knock it all down.
No, it's particularly in the. I mean, well, yeah. I thought Vitiello had a pretty strong game against Charlotte. I think, you know, when a lot of the discussion is we're not keeping clean sheets and the defense isn't playing that well, I thought, you know, Vitiello showed his class. I don't know. I'm not a huge critic of him this season. I think,
which
obviously,
is rare. You typically go after the keepers a lot. So.
Yeah.
Are you about
That's
to
no
go
joke,
after?
like you typically do.
Yeah.
Are you about ready to go after Leaker though?
Yeah.
For the, you know, 3.
I wasn't
goal
going
swing?
to. I was just gonna kind of move past that. Vitiello had a good game. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Hopefully, Vitiello has another good game on Wednesday. There, I'm going to try to transition back into it since Kevin took us off course. Who even knows if he's starting? Who knows? But anyway, so. Guys, we got back-to-back home games coming up. We got Tampa on Wednesday at 6 p.m. and then Atlanta on Sunday at 7 p.m. Tampa is basically coming off of 2 wins. They got a 2-1 win over Red Bulls, a 1-0 win over Hartford on Friday. So they're not necessarily playing, you know, back again as quickly as we are, but they're on a shortened schedule as well. So, you know, all things being even, we're closer to even than not. But again, they haven't been commanding wins in the way that we saw them earlier this season. So I definitely think that Tampa could be had. Atlanta is sort of the surprise one, because I think we always tend to think of these two teams as being a bit of a joke. But, you know, last week they beat Sporting KC 4-1. 2 games before that, they beat Indy 6-2. They've scored 12 goals in their past 3 games, and they have a +7 goal differential. In our past 3 games, we've only scored 5 goals, and we have a -1 goal differential. So, like, as weird as it is to say, I'm almost more worried about the Atlanta game than the Tampa game. I'm worried about both, because I think that Tampa has far larger implications. But, you know, Captain Robbie Mertz, or I guess it's Robbie Mertz Jr., will be leading Atlanta too out in the Highmark Stadium this week, which it'd be interesting to talk to him, see how that feels coming back as the captain of this team. But
what do you feel about those scenarios? like Josh already said about Francois, like, all right, he unfollow. Like, no, like
Look,
mainly because of what he did after he scored or whatever. But like, is
no, I don't.
Mert still close to our hearts?
Yes,
Yes.
I think the way that
I'm just trying to stir the pot. That's all.
No. I think I can't remember the circumstances under which Francois left, whether we just didn't give him another contract or he was able to get more money somewhere else. The case with Robbie Mertz, from what we hear, part of the reason why he went to Atlanta United too was because he knew he would have eyes from Atlanta's MLS team on him, and there was more of an opportunity for him to step up. And we've always said, if you have an opportunity to go to MLS, go with our blessings. Like, that's part of this whole deal. And especially somebody like Robbie, who we've talked to a number of times. He did press amazingly all across the city. I remember listening to interviews and people on the radio just raving, like, here's this kid who's like a pro soccer player that actually knows how to talk and like be eloquent in what it is that he's saying, unlike a lot of the other sports stars that they interview. So no, I think his family's still here. Like, if he scores, I don't see him shushing the crowd. Like,
Exactly.
It's just not going to happen. He's
Ooh,
likely
but if
going
he
to.
does.
He's likely going to hang around and maybe want to meet with the Steel Army afterwards or whatever. Like, it's just not his personality. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, and it's Atlanta too. I don't know. Like, it's not in our division or whatever our conference. So it's a little bit different situation. We're not battling with Atlanta to make the playoffs. This is a game that's important for us because it's a chance to pick up points, and that's always important. But it's definitely not the same type of feel as Miami and the competitiveness there. But I honestly, even with those big numbers, I think that 6-2 against Indy 11 says more about Indy 11 than it does about Atlanta.
For sure, yeah.
Like, Indy's a joke right now. Like, that's just crazy. And getting 4 goals against Kansas City, it's like, yeah, it's Kansas City. Like, I'm not feeling too. I don't know. I still feel like the Rowdies is the game where I'm most worried about, and we need to at least get a point out of that game. I mean, obviously, I would love to get 3 points out of the game because of the swing there, but I'm not thinking of Atlanta at all, honestly.
I get everything you're saying, but I'm also trying to remember the last time we got 4 goals in a game or 6 goals in a game, like, regardless of opponent. So I'm totally with you, though. I think from the mindset of, if you're putting these 2 games on a scale, like, you're going to weigh Tampa a lot more heavily because the points are going to matter a lot more. It'll be interesting to see what Lilly does personnel wise. You would assume that he would try to play his best guys against Tampa, and then you figure you have a few days break and you see who's ready for Atlanta on the flip side. Then they essentially have a week. Basically, I think it's from Sunday to Saturday, and then you have a Saturday and then a Wednesday game. So you have a little bit of time to recoup after that. But
we have to see Vidiello. I think Vidiello has to be in goal against the Rowdies. I would be very surprised if he's not, even though it's going to be 2 games in a short amount of time. He needs to be in goal. Sorry, I'm just looking at the Central Division because I was curious about the other teams. Has Sporting won a game? I honestly don't think.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's ridiculous.
If it's not in our division or conference, I don't know it exists.
No, exactly. Same here. That's why I wasn't sure about this. But like, I see 1 win so far in this whole. Okay, they won 2 games. Okay, cool.
If we look at our Loudon, even Loudon has 2 wins, so they're doing better than Sporting.
One of them is against us.
Negative 20 goal differential.
For Loudon. I threw this up on the screen for those listening. This is the Atlantic Division standings, a little bit sooner than I had hoped, but things are tight, guys. Like, Tampa has played 2 less games than we are, and we're tied on points near the top at 33. And then Miami has the same number of games as us, but they're only 2 points back. Charlotte seem hell-bent on making it into the playoffs this year, and they're at 26, but they also have 2 games in hand on us. and you got Hartford and the Battery, charging right behind them. There are going to be 2 legitimate playoff teams in this division that don't make the playoffs this year. Like that's just how it's going to shake out. This is the division of death.
The good thing is, I mean, Hartford's the only example where this might not be the case because they have goal difference on us. But at least now with the points tallies and the games played, everyone behind us now on the table is like behind us. You know what I mean? Which is I don't know.
We hold the destiny in our hands, is what you're saying.
Yeah. It really shouldn't matter, but like I just like logical consistency and how things rank and everything. It's just easier to think about. Whereas, okay, we're chasing Tampa. All right, cool. Like, and we have to worry about a few people on our tail. Which is why, this Tampa game is just huge, and it's going to be, I'm super pumped for it at Highmark. Hopefully we have a good turnout, good weather, full lineup, full strength lineup as we determine it. I think it'll be great.
Should we do an over under for these next 2 games? Or does it matter?
You love an over under.
But then
notice that we don't do it when you're not hosting.
Yeah, I did notice that last week, by the way. I did listen to the show. Kev, I appreciated your Jack Grealish dig. Thank you for that. But we'll get to that in a minute. But I don't think it matters. I think we've just sort of said that like Tampa is the focus. So if we say like over under is like 3.5. Well, then if I tell you that if we get 1 point against Tampa and 3 against Atlanta, like, do we care?
That's what I was gonna say. I'll try to make it more spicy in your way of thinking of things. If I said we lose against Tampa, but you get a guaranteed 3 points against Atlanta, would you take it?
I mean, at this point, I would take a guaranteed 3 points. Definitely. Like
out of these 2 games,
yeah. No. Oh, but it's against Atlanta, so Tampa beats us,
right?
But then we beat Atlanta. If I offer you that now, would you take it?
I mean, I would take 3 points, even if it's not against Tampa, because we need wins. Like, we need points. It would suck if my goal is to have us be in the top 2, so that way we get a home playoff game. I want to beat Tampa a lot. I want to be the top of the division a lot, but I'm more concerned about just not getting to 3rd or 4th. So, like, 3 points sounds pretty darn good right now. I mean, obviously, I would rather have 3 points against Tampa than against Atlanta, but it's hard to say no to 3 points.
I mean, when you start playing the laws of probability, right? Over these 2 games, we could end up with no points, 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, or 6 points.
That's how math works.
Those are the.
I'm saying, yes. So there's 5 options, and Kev, you're giving us like the 4th best option out of that stack. So considering that we just lost our last 2, I think I take the 3 points as well, because it's better off having 3 than having 2 or 1 or 0. But I mean, I think that tells you a little bit about sort of our mental state as fans and as a team right now, where if we had this conversation 2 games ago, we'd be like, you're crazy. We're getting all 6. We just won 4 of our last 5, or we just won, 5 of our last 6. Like, we're going into this, we're going to take both Atlanta and Tampa. Over under is set at 4.5 points or 5 points or whatever it is. But like, after 2 losses, you got to right that ship, man. So
that's the other thing is, like, I think losing 3 in a row would be really tough.
It would be tough. It would be. It would. Well, here's a better question then. 2 draws. Would you be happy with 2 draws? Like,
honestly, yes. Yeah.
2 draws, so that way we get that, off our shoulder, that chip off our shoulder, where it's a situation where we're losing games. We don't lose 2 games in a row. Kind of ramp us into the back half of this compact schedule, and then hopefully with the rest after what we have a rest after Atlanta, right?
After Atlanta, we play on Sunday, and then our following game is Saturday, so we have almost a full week.
Yeah, so like I feel like that would be great, but
that would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want 2 losses, obviously. Like, that's my big fear, because I'm worried about the mental fatigue of that happening. 4 losses in a row, that's going to be really tough on the players.
I mean,
all the
think
fans.
Four losses in a row is like legit falling off a cliff territory. Like that's
like
a train
Indy
crash.
last year territory, or Tampa
Exactly.
like after the first few games of the season territory. So yeah.
And it's hard to get that off your mind as a player, I imagine, and like that's what I don't want to see. Yeah. So like I would take 2 points, honestly. Like I just don't want us to get into this rut where we feel like you know the whole world's against us. Like I want to see this team not have that to worry about. So obviously I want to win. I want to win all the games. I want my victory beverages. But it's yeah.
I'm gonna split hairs even more here. I know, Mike, that was a great facial expression. But okay, like fine, you take 2 draws. In what manner are those draws? Would you rather us not?
No, hold on. Just hold on. I just want to point out that I typically come in here with the over-under, and you guys give me an eye roll like, here we go with this over-under. And both of you have come up with scenarios that you are totally into and trying to sell. Yep. So, like, all right.
Yep.
Go ahead, Kev. Give us your scenarios of the draws.
No, I would just so like, would you rather us not score but finally get some clean sheets?
Kevin's like, if Lily is wearing a gold polo instead of a black one, how do you feel about that?
Would you rather us get? Go ahead. Would you rather us get some clean sheets and have it be 2-0-0s, or would you rather it be like 3-3, 3-3 or something, and then we keep scoring?
Well, Kev, in the manner of things, are we coming from behind to draw 3-3,
right,
or are we losing at 3-3?
If you're not going to take this exercise seriously, Michael, then we should just move on.
This coming from the guy whose phrase used to be, I reject your question and I'm answering another one. So, yeah.
But to answer the question, clean sheets would be better because we do have a defense that's shaky, and it would be nice to see the defense actually perform.
I agree.
I'm more worried about our defense than I am about our offense. So, therefore, clean sheets would be nice to have, even if it's a 0-0 draw, just to give them that confidence boost. There you go.
I'll be quiet for the next 5 minutes.
Oh, good. So, guys, the Premier League is back. Kevin has already said he's going to be quiet. I wanted to give a shout out. Join the if you play Fantasy Premier League, head over to the Premier League app. Join the Fantasy Premier League. We have a Mon Goals Fantasy League. Someone whose name we've been dropping a ton on this show is part of that league. Golden Glove winner Danny Vitiello. He took second this past week with 89 points. He had a really strong week. He captained Mo Salah and also had Bruno Fernandes in his squad. So kudos to him. That was a really good call. Guys, thoughts on week what? You want to talk now, don't you?
No. Yeah, before even the Premier League stuff, right, I have one more Riverhounds thing to say. And then
jeez.
No, I just noticed Burger Brand mentioned, Mertz coming back to Pittsburgh will be good. I don't know why. Look, I have nothing wrong against Mertz. Mertz was great for us. I loved watching him play in a round shirt. I love that he's a Pittsburgh dude. But I really want to see like him and Griffin going for a 50-50 and Griffin just like clatter him in the first 10 minutes.
just Danny Earls him. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Get the yellow. Josh happens not to be injured somehow, like out of nowhere, like kind of like WWF style.
That's what
like,
I want.
Who is that? Who's that? Is that his music? That's his music, and you see him just come down.
It's not going to be Griffin. It's going to be Rivera because he's the one who plays with that edge that like. It might happen. Yeah,
we can talk about the Premier League now. I just
back to the Premier League. Josh Burger Brand said, "Up the toffees." How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Also, a shout out to Bulldogs Pub in Morningside. So the Pittsburgh Toffees, we had a watch party, and I had never been to Bulldogs Pub, and I was a little bit like, "Oh, this place looks a little bit small from the pictures," and like I wasn't sure if it was going to be that great. Our usual stomping grounds, they're not open right now in the mornings. So we went, and that place is awesome. Like I really enjoyed Bulldogs Pub. So if you haven't been there, check it out. The owner, Jesse, he is fantastic and he loves soccer. And he even made the joke that like his regulars, because he bought the bar. So the people who've always been going there, like now they pretend to like soccer just so they can get free beer from him because they know how much of a soccer fan he is. Like, oh, you have a MLS jersey on. What's that all about? Like, yeah, soccer's great. So yeah, he's turned that place into a great soccer atmosphere, and he's definitely opening up for all the Premier League games. So if you need a place, since Piper's right now isn't open, to watch Premier League, give them a shot.
Is he made it like an official Toffee's bar, or is it just like
No?
okay, all right.
Like we're not even sure if it's going to be like the official Toffee's bar for us yet. It's just right now that was a place that was an option, and we had like I think 3 of the 5 TVs dedicated to the Toffees. Sweet. So it was they had other games going on in the other TVs, but so.
I saw the pictures that you and Liz had posted on Instagram. It looked like it was a good time. So that's awesome. And the Toffees got the win. So kudos to you against Southampton. Southampton. These guys going to Southampton.
Oh boy. All right. Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was great to see a win, and I'm still scared of the season, and we'll see what happens. But
you're a Toffees fan. That comes with the territory.
Yes,
that's fine.
Actually, look, I saw like there's a poll. I think it was on the Atlantic or whatever, and it was like they did a survey, and they were ranking how hopeful each set of fans are. Everton was dead last. You guys are like the least hopeful.
Hope is where they kill you, all right? If you don't have any hope, you can't get hurt, all right? You can be pleasantly surprised. And that's the way I like to live my life, pleasantly surprised.
It's true. Listen, that was the whole reason why last year when you guys forced me to pick a team, I went with Aston Villa, was because I said, if they win a game, like, great. Like, there's excitement over winning games as opposed to if you're a Liverpool fan, you're worried about losing. Because if you lose a game, like I don't want to go into every game worried we're going to lose.
Yeah, that's true.
So like, yeah. So Kev, how did you feel about Liverpool's win over, was it Norwich?
Yeah, no, look good. I mean, I think those are always trap games. I mean, I think all 3 promoted teams had a home game the first week of the season.
Villa got trapped, so
and it's hard. I mean, because look, it's the first game of the season. The Premier League hasn't stomped out any hope that you have as a newly promoted side yet. You haven't been grinded down by playing City and then Chelsea and then United 3 weeks in a row. And so it's not January and you're sitting on 15 points. You have everything to hope for, and this is the first time that the stadium could have been full and for like 18 months. So I mean, those are always really tough games. Arsenal saw that against Brentford. So no, I mean, the fact that Liverpool beat Norwich in the manner that they did, I was really, really happy. And with the midfield that we had, without Henderson or Thiago or Fabinho starting, but no, it's interesting. I think maybe the bigger narratives around conversation points is, will Kane go? And then what do you think about, Messi going to PSG and Barcelona being over $1 billion in debt?
I thought it was interesting that, and we haven't talked about this, I thought it was interesting that the day after City paid $100 million for Jack Grealish, Messi goes on a free to PSG. Like, I wonder if Pep's kicking himself there. Like, I could have just had Messi, but I
don't think so. I think there's been articles written about Messi going to PSG being the perfect analogy of the current state of like European soccer and just how kind of soulless it is. Like, there really wasn't any, like, Messi couldn't have gone anywhere else.
Right.
Like if he want, like, no one else can pay his salary.
It would have been City or PSG. Like, I feel like that's it. And City already spent like the bank on Grealish, and now they're going to try to spend it again on Kane. But yeah.
So and now Barcelona are like, and it was interesting how he left too, right? I mean, because like a year ago, Messi's like, "Hey, I want to leave," and now he's crying like, "I don't want to leave," and blah blah blah. And it's like, it was this perfect storm of like. They're like blaming La Liga and they're blaming previous management and like, look, we can't do anything. And Messi's like, I'd love to stay, but like, Spanish law says I literally can't. And like, and now he's off to PSG. Yeah. And so it's an interesting state of the world where, once again, I mean, I kind of make the analogy of, Super League was only 6 months ago, and in a state of the world where we're not satisfied, our club spending only what they make. This is this is the natural conclusion of everything. Messi goes to a state-backed club in Paris that just throws money at everything and laughs at FFP and City laugh at FFP and everyone laughs at FFP, and so I think
I love Pep's rationale too. He was like, we didn't spend 100 million on Jack Grealish, we spent 20 million on Jack Grealish because like we sold all of these other players and it was fun. And it's like, no, dude, like we know what happens here. Like we're not dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the Villa front, I do think that Villa are going to be better without Jack with some of the signings they brought in. Their preseason was total shambles. Like I think they ended up playing 2 out of the 4 scheduled games. A lot of them were canceled like last minute because of COVID stuff. And that first half, they didn't show up at all. Like at all. They just looked awful. So I do think that they will right the ship and they will be okay. And they have a couple of things they need to iron out, but I still think they finish in the top half.
Yeah, I think you guys would be fine. I think I was really impressed with Watford, and the atmosphere was really bouncing, and Sarr looks incredible. I know a lot of people, like teams have been sniffing around him, but I thought Everton looked good too. I'm really excited about the Premier League season because I don't think it's going to be another example where you have 1 or 2 teams breaking 95 points. I think it's going to be more evenly spread this season. I guarantee you the end of it, the top 4 will look very similar, or the top 5 or the top 6 or whatever. But I think our pathway to that will be a bit more competitive.
All right, real quick, and then we're going to get out of here. Give me your top 4 in the Premier League this season. Kev, go.
Usually maybe not. You can tell me I'm not, but I feel like usually I'm pretty realistic when it comes to Liverpool and like Liverpool chats or whatever. I think this whole flying under the radar thing benefits Liverpool hugely. I think we've played really well. I'm back in Liverpool for the league. I think they'll win it. Chelsea. I was super impressed with how they, Thomas Tuchel and how he. Just like they started last season.
German managers, man. They just like
they started last season with Frank Lampard, and they end up winning the European Cup with that team. And I think Lukaku's incredible, and I think he's exactly the missing piece that they were looking for. And so I'll be curious how that all shakes out. I'll say Liverpool, Chelsea, City, United. Although I think Tottenham will do a hell of a lot better than people expect them to.
See, I think Tottenham's going to pull an Arsenal. I think they're both going to blow a tire, and they're going to be they're going to be closer to the midway line than either team is hoping. But Josh, who's your top 4?
Brentford winning it all. No, I'm joking.
Brentford. Brentford are like my I don't know, like my Cinderella team. Like if I wasn't supporting Villa, I'd be like I'm the bees, man.
I like Brentford, yeah.
Man, all Brentford, like were they able to do it, like pull a Leicester? Like how cool would that be? That was so fun. But yeah, it's probably going to be like Man United, Chelsea, Man City. And I guess Liverpool. I don't want to say Liverpool. No, I'm not going to say Liverpool.
It. You don't have to.
Nah, but there's no one else.
I was going to say, who else are you going to say at this point?
It's like
Leicester?
Tottenham.
It could be Leicester.
No, it's going to be Liverpool.
Rafa Benitez, Everton.
I mean, Everton, I feel like is going to do good, but like my top tier for Everton is always 6th place. I'm like, we're going to get 6. We're going to do it. And then they disappoint me.
Do you think you'll get 6 this season?
They're going to do it. I believe in 6th place. It's going to happen.
I could see Everton. I could see Everton get 5 or 6. Like I said, I think I'm worried that I'm not worried. I think the whole Harry Kane thing could end up being a huge distraction at Tottenham, and the whole Dan Levy just being a tool. Like people are going to get upset. I know Son did well. They did well enough against City to eke out a goal, even though they were dominated in that game. My top 4 are going to be, I think it's good. If Harry Kane goes to City, I think it's City, Chelsea, Liverpool, United, unfortunately. And then I think, rounding out that top 7, I would love to see Everton, Villa, and I don't know. I don't even know who after that. I think Spurs want to be in there. I think Arsenal want to be in there. Leicester. Yeah, I'd put Leicester in that top 7. I just said Leicester like 2 minutes ago for 4th. I am worried about Arsenal. Like, I think they caught a lot of flack after this loss, and I think Arteta's leash is going to be really short here really quickly if they don't come out and get some blowout wins. So, yeah.
I mean, both. This is my last quick question. Like, from the clubs that both of you support, is there like, do you just like across the board just hate like the top 6?
Yes.
Just like, yeah.
Look,
I don't hate the top 6, but I don't know. Like, always feeling like I can break into the top 6. Like, Everton can be in there. It's like, let's do it. And then I never blame the top 6. I'm like, oh man, there's so much better than us. I always look at us falling apart and be like, well, yep, that's why that happens. Like, it's really hard to like feel anything towards top 6 when you're in 10th or 12th place. You know what I mean? It's like, yep, didn't even come close. Right. So they're in a different world. It doesn't matter to me. Like, it's.
I think that my disdain for the top 6 is more right now directed at like Pep and City, because you literally win the league last year and Pep's out like, we have to sign Jack Grealish and we have to sign Harry Kane, and I'm like, no, you really, really don't. Like, you just won the league. I mean, I still have a ton of respect for Pep. I thought he did amazing things at Barcelona, but I mean, you look at his history. There can be a lot that's said about him bouncing to teams that are already champions, and he just like convinces them to spend a lot of money on all the players he wants. Like, try, go pick up Leeds and make Leeds a champion, and then we'll see.
Yeah, but that's not what he does. Those are 2 different jobs.
But that's what I mean. Like, it's.
But I personally think we're gonna stay here forever. But I personally think that's the equivalent of me being like, well, Mike, why don't you just like do Josh's job in real life? Like, why don't you just do that? Like, it's reasonable for you to not be able to do that because you just don't have that technical skill set that Josh has to do his job, and vice versa. I couldn't do your job. Like, I couldn't do any of your jobs.
So, but then that brings back the question of like, what are you actually good at? Like, I feel like I ask myself that question all the time. No, but I don't mean that in a derogatory way, and I feel like the wheels are completely off at this point. But like, are you better at getting the best out of the players that you have, or are you good at managing big personalities to get them to play together? And those are 2 totally different things. And
I think the thing for me, at least, with Pep arguably created the greatest side in football history, and even if you
wait, which one? You talking about Barcelona?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even argue that he created that, because when he took over,
Mike,
they had a game where 11 of their starting 11 all came through La Masia. So
but it doesn't matter. Like, you give that same starting lineup to, I don't know, David Moyes. Like, they're not the same.
They're not the same.
That's my point, right? Like, it still takes someone to do that, and I think he did that, and so I think it's just a different game.
And more importantly, Jurgen Klopp got eye surgery and he doesn't wear glasses now, and he looks stupid. He looks so much better with his glasses.
I totally missed that.
Yeah. I will say, I was watching the game and Riley, my wife, was sitting next to me. And he also this season, like the tracksuit for Liverpool, it looks like a fake Gucci knockoff. And I'm just like, he looks like he belongs on like Entourage at this point. Like, his just mouth is just like open. He just rolled out of bed. Yeah, it's just, he does look worse. I agree with you, Josh.
All right. I'm glad we can all agree on that at least.
I feel like that's as good a place as any to stop. Just as a reminder, like we said, come join us, be part of the craziness in our Mon Goals Fantasy League. Like we said, you can come hang out with Danny Vidiello, who's in there tearing things up right now. But honestly, you just play fantasy and you also join our league. There's nothing else to it. And the winner, we're going to give away something free. I've got like hats and a jersey and like socks. We got tons of Mon Goals swag. So we'll give something away to the winner. So spread the word, get in the league and compete, and you might get something cool. So, all right, guys. Obviously, best of luck to the Hounds on Wednesday against Tampa, and then Sunday against Atlanta. I will be at the Atlanta game with the fan, so if you see me, say hello. We're supposed to be sitting in a section. We're just going to be sitting with the Steel Army. So, like, that's just how it works. So yeah, really, really looking forward to getting to my first game this season, which like it's been way too long for that. But that I think is it for this one. Thanks again to everybody. Head over to mongoals.com, support the show, become a Patreon follower. This is your weekly reminder, as always, that Black Lives Matter. Huge thanks to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. Tired of the same old cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Looking for a completely custom kit for your youth squad, Sunday league squad, or adult urban pro team? Check out IcarusFC.com for all of your kit needs. That's IcarusFC.com. Head over to BGN.FM to get all the latest on USL news and world soccer news. We got over 100 contributors that are writing and podcasting about the beautiful game. Check them out at BGN.FM. Otherwise, thanks, everybody. As always, we will talk to you very, very soon.
Cheers.